It is a SuperClash podcast, a podcast about shorter games. Connor, it is episode 69.
Nice!
Yeah, we made it this far. We made it 69 episodes, and I am your host, Kale. You already know Connor because I said his name.
That one's my name, yep.
Yeah, Connor, how was your week, man?
Well, the first part of it was pretty crummy. We failed to get the couch that we discussed.
Yes, that's true. That is unfortunate. Man, I really wish I would have been there to help you, but I don't think it would have been much help because you couldn't fit the damn thing through the door.
Yeah, so we're getting a different couch tomorrow, and hopefully by the next time we record, the studio area will be set up properly.
Hey, the nice thing is, though, we are sitting in comfortable chairs. More comfortable chairs, I should say.
With computer chairs, yes.
Yeah, which is better than the metal chairs. So, and also, Connor, something happened to you as well.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Nope. No. We talked about it when it happened to me a couple, 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
We got to talk about it now. It's only fair.
Uh-huh.
Connor, what did you turn yesterday?
A new leaf in life.
Okay, but what is your age now?
Do I have to?
Connor is 30. How's it feel, man?
Not the best.
Depression.
It makes life seem like it's gone by so fast.
Are you already shaking your fist at the kids playing in the park across the street?
Oh yeah, I throw rocks at them and stuff. But that's just par for the course. I've been doing that for years.
Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't really define your age, I guess.
No, I've hated kids since I was a kid, right? So yeah, that's fine.
But I know how you feel. Like at first, it didn't really feel like anything when I turned 30, but then I would go to the mall just to pick up a pair of jeans, and I would see all these kids and the teenagers and early 20s kids. I'd be like, oh my god, you're little babies.
Yeah,
and that's when I get another gray hair.
I get one every time I get stressed out at work.
Oh my god, I can't imagine how many gray hairs I have with the amount of stress I go through at work, especially during the holiday season.
Yeah, it's just one of the lovely things about getting older, right?
Right. But we did do some good things. We got together for your birthday. We went to a deli restaurant, and it was really good.
Yeah, wasn't too bad. They didn't bring me my dessert.
No, it's really funny. You paid for a piece of pie.
No, cheesecake.
It was a cheesecake. Yeah, that's right. And they gave you your food, and you're like, can I have my cheesecake? And the waitress was like, oh, no, we're out. Sorry.
And I was like, okay. And she's like, well, you can have one of these other dessert things. And so I'm thinking to myself, if I didn't say anything, you were just going to not give me it.
I know.
After I paid for it. You're just like, nah, you're good.
Oh, man. That was, Well, other than that, it was a good time.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
I got you a waifu.
Yes.
I should say my wife and I got you a waifu.
That's a mouthful. But yes, you got me Ruka-chan.
Yeah, I got you Ruka-chan.
Yeah. So she's going to go in the studio area here as soon as we get everything all set up.
Nice. And soon you're going to get Sumi.
Yeah, my wife got me Sumi, but she ordered some stuff for me from Crunchyroll. You're going to like this. She got me a Rim blanket.
Yes.
And then a Sumi figure, but they delayed it for weeks and weeks, and it literally just shipped last night.
I wonder why that is.
They said that they were backed up on orders, but...
just the Sumi figures or just orders in general?
I think just orders in general, because they did some kind of sale, I think.
I gotcha. For me, this week, today was really busy at my job. At least early on, it was busy. It was busy up until after lunch, and then after that. But it was really funny because I was super in the zone today while at work because I was so busy. And when I got home, I just my brain just went into a downward spiral. I guess not really a downward spiral, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I lost my train of thought because someone decided to fucking call me when I was
You lost the train, choo choo.
I lost the train, choo choo. So I'm gonna switch gears here instead, and I'm gonna talk about ReZero. My wife and I started ReZero. I want to say, I guess earlier this week, at the beginning of this week, and it is really good. It is so good.
Oh yeah, it's also bad too. Like bad things
happen.
It's
horrible things happen.
It's suffering the anime.
Exactly. Like there's no good in it. Like well, the anime is good, but nothing good ever happens to the characters.
Yeah. Not without a lot of bad.
Not without a lot of blood, gore, dismemberment, and death.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, but my wife and I are just so invested. Like every single time an episode ends, when the new episode begins, I'm like, okay, one more episode, then I need to play the game for the podcast. And then the ending of that episode happens. I'm like, okay, one more episode. Then that ends. One more episode, because something just keeps building up. Okay. And we want to see what the payoff is.
So are you telling me you didn't finish the game for this week?
No, I finished the game. Calm your tits. I finished the game.
Did you get all of the gem?
I didn't get all. I didn't 100% it.
I'll scold you later. It's all right.
I didn't 100% it, but I finished it. I did enough where we can talk about it.
Okay, go on.
They know what you're talking about. They saw the title of the episode.
I don't know. He's a little purple dragon. What do you want to say? Anyway, ReZero is great. I just want to say that I've watched all of it. It's wonderful, and I still don't understand the hype for Amelia. Even after I'm caught up, so I've watched all of it, and I've watched the story arc where they give Amelia's backstory and stuff, and I still don't think she's best girl.
No, Rem is best girl, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Ram is kind of a bitch. Ram.
Ram. RAM. So, for those who don't know, Rem has a sister named Ram, and Ram has pink hair, and Rem has blue hair.
Yes, and they're like demon girls.
Yes, but Rem is just so sweet.
She got that wholesome vibe, man.
She's so wholesome. I love her.
If only Subaru felt the same way.
I know. I said this to you in a text that I think that Subaru is almost as bad as Kazuya from Rent a Girlfriend, because Ruka-chan is right there.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he still goes for Chizuru, just like Rem is right there, and Subaru wants to go for fucking Amelia.
Well, you're going to be very happy. I'll have to break out all my Rem figures and display them in the studio here once we're ready.
Yes. I'm so in. I've had a great year watching some anime. Like I've watched such good anime since the beginning of this year. I mean, I guess you can say I started watching some anime a little bit last year, but the only thing I watched was Toradora and Erased. But this year I watched Rent a Girlfriend, Love is War, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid,
Nagatoro.
What?
You watched Nagatoro?
Yep, Nagatoro. Don't toy with me. Oh wait, yeah, I meant teasing master Takagi-san. Takagi-san. I still can't say that.
You watched that one.
Konosuba.
Yeah.
So a lot of good animes I've watched.
I
this
think
year.
you've broken through a lot of the backlog that I prescribed you.
Yeah, well, there's still a lot. So, and also I bought a lot of manga.
Oh yeah, we both have this year.
Yeah, we're not an anime podcast, but who knows?
We might be.
Pay attention to the future. So, but other than that, Connor, you were talking about or at least at dinner and a little bit on your Twitter about Emily is Away, and you told me about the concept of this game, and I'm fascinated by it. I am just like you. I am right in the niche for this game.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and tell me about it.
So Emily is Away in the title has a little emoji heart at the end of it.
Less than 3.
The less than 3, yes. is the third game in the Emily is Away series. And this game takes place in 2008 to 2009. You play as a high school boy, or girl, maybe? I can't remember if you could choose. Doesn't matter in this context. But you play as a high schooler who just is transitioning over from AOL Instant Messenger over to Facebook. And so your friend convinces you to set up a Facebook account. And in this game, you use what is like a proxy Facebook page. Like the game itself takes place entirely in this like fake Facebook.
I've seen some screenshots of it. It's just like what Facebook in 2008 used to look like.
Exactly. And so like all of the gameplay takes place through messages, writing on people's walls, poking people, doing those Facebook quizzes that used to be a thing, sending each other or sharing notes and having people put in their stuff. So it's entirely done in this fake website. And so your friend helps you set up your page, and he tells you to reach out to these two girls who are your friends who are no longer talking, but they're both having separate parties that night. And you're supposed to talk to them, add them as friends on there, and pick a party to go to, because your friend basically dumped that choice onto you because he and his girlfriend want to go to a party as well. So it seems like based on who you choose to go to the party with, a relationship starts blossoming between you and that person. And all the flirting takes place on this Facebook thing. So that really, really, really hit home for me. Because
yeah. That sounds like it would do the same thing with me.
I spent way too many hours after school each day in high school on Facebook doing these exact same things, messaging the girls that I liked or whatever, or writing on people's walls, poking people, posting stupid posts where, Connor is happy today, because that's how it was formatted back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it all hit really hard. And then without spoiling too much, this game takes a very emotional turn near the end, and it was very similar to things that happened during my high school experience. So that made it hit even harder for me. So I'm like, wow, this game, it's niche, but when it connects with the right audience, it connects solid,
This is why I'm so fascinated by this game, is because I used to be just like you. I would message the girls I would like or be interested in hopes that they would answer me back on Messenger or like their posts or stuff like that. And you mentioned at dinner there is music that's from that time period, and I'm totally in for that.
Yeah.
Because I remember, at least for me, posting a song as my status that described my emotions at that time, that whole teenager thing. This song is my life.
Yes, and then the game, it's really cool because the characters will share playlist to you, and they'll open up in this fake YouTube window that looks like YouTube from that era, but it's embedded with a actual YouTube video. So you can just listen to the songs that they sent you from that time period.
That's insane. And it's kind of funny because I was thinking about this game today, as I mentioned earlier, at least I believe. And I was thinking I should make a playlist for me while I play this game, because I remember listening, or at least downloading songs from LimeWire.
And then FrostWire.
Yeah. And then listening to my music while on Facebook. Yep. And so I was thinking, okay, what are some songs I listened to in 2008, 2009? Let's see. Rise Against, Coheed and Cambria, Breaking Benjamin. Mm-hmm. I listened to the Halo soundtrack a shit ton.
I listened to a lot of Escape the Fate, Asking Alexandria.
Oh, yeah. Blink 182. Red Jumpsuit Apparatus.
I was a little more on at first I was in just more of like, when I was like a freshman, I listened to a lot of like the more mainstream stuff. So your Avenged Sevenfold, your stuff like that. But then like by about sophomore year, I found more of like a niche genre typing. I preferred like post-hardcore and metalcore and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I listened to a lot of that.
For me, like my high school experience at the time was less than ideal for certain things, and my rotation was basically just Rise Against, a lot of fucking Rise Against, and a lot of Breaking Benjamin, and quite a bit Coheed and Cambria. And Rise Against is still my favorite band of all time.
Yeah.
As a result, that's when I really kind of leaned into the punk genre. So now, along with Rise Against, I would listen to like it's a little bit off topic, but I've kind of dabbled last couple weeks into like older, early 90s to mid 90s punk rock. But back in 2008, 2009, it was all Rise Against and Breaking Benjamin. And Wishing I Was Somebody Else, and it's so cringe going back when like Facebook pops up memories from that time. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah,
it's awful.
And this game, it's weird because it sits in this strange place where I was both cringing at some of the stuff that was happening in it because, I lived it, and then another part of me was like a warm nostalgia. Like I was smiling for a lot of it, and I'm like, but then every emotion that the characters were feeling as they were having these conversations, they were all so real and familiar. So like I was reliving those moments again, and it was strange. I definitely like went to bed afterwards and just kind of like laid there just thinking about the whole thing. And
jeez. and it's on your Steam library, so I need to check it out.
Definitely do.
So tonight, wow, we're quite a bit in already. So tonight we're going to be talking about Spyro the Dragon. But before we get into it, Connor, let's get physical.
Okay, fine. We'll get physical. All right, so we have quite a few games. So what I had to kind of do with these this time around, I was doing birthday stuff yesterday, and Thursday was usually the days that I do these. So I had to kind of rush through these. So these aren't going to be as detailed as normal, but next week should be fine. So
we'll see.
Shh. So the first game is The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. It's $50 on Switch and PS4. It says, welcome to Crossbell. The beginning of an exciting story arc in the Trails universe is about to begin in this iconic city-state. Experience a rich and refreshing game world that is teeming with secrets and adventures. And this game releases September 27th. The next game is Inertial Drift Twilight Rivals. It's $30. It's only on PS5. It says, set in a 90s retro future, Inertial Drift Twilight Rivals Edition is an arcade racer with a devastatingly unique handling model and unbelievably satisfying twin-stick drift mechanics. Mouthful. Packed with brand new story content, a Pulse Racing original Eurobeats soundtrack created by renowned producer Turbo A, crystal clear 4K resolution, and 120 frames per second gameplay. Releases September 29th. The next one is Dungeons 3. It's $40. It's on Switch. The dungeon manager you've been waiting for. Dungeons 3 is the biggest, best, and evilest dungeon sim yet, topped off with a fully reworked overworld RTS mode. This releases September 29th. The next one is Little Witch Nobita. It's approximately $33 to $45, depending on where you get it. It is a Japan/Asia exclusive game. It's on PS4 and Switch. It says, Nobita, the little wonder, came to the castle alone to solve the mystery of her own life. Constantly challenging powerful crafted souls, she learned all kinds of magical abilities and befriended a mysterious little black cat. What secrets hide in the depths of the castle? Little Witch Nobita is a 3D action shooting game. Players will explore ancient, unknown castles and use different magic elements to fight against the soul. Releases September 29th. The next one is Bullet Soul Double Pack. It's approximately $74. It's only on Switch. It's a Japan exclusive. Bullet Soul Double Pack is a shoot-'em-up game collection that includes Bullet Soul and Bullet Soul Infinite Burst. This releases September 29th.
Quite a bit here.
Oh, yeah. We're still going. The next one is Valkyrie Elysium for $60. It's on PS4 and PS5. It's the latest title in the Valkyrie series. This action RPG incorporates the series' signature Einherjar combat systems, allowing players to enjoy speedy, three-dimensional combat. The game's unique art style beautifully depicts a collapsing world as Ragnarok looms, with series veteran Motoi Sakuraba returning to enrich the title with an unforgettable soundtrack.
This sounds fascinating. I need to look this one up.
Yeah, I think it's Square Enix, maybe. Releases...
They've been kind of hit or miss lately.
Yeah. Releases September 29th. I want to say it got good reviews in Japan so far.
Okay.
The next one is Bayonetta. Everybody knows that one.
Oh, yeah.
It's $30. It's only on Switch. And it says, things are about to get physical. The first Bayonetta game, previously available in North America as a digital-only version, is releasing as physical version for the first time on the Nintendo system in North America. Bayonetta is a butt-kicking, havoc-wreaking witch, and she'll shoot, slam, and slice angels as she uncovers the truth about her own past. Her weapons and moves are all stylishly over the top, but she can dodge attacks to slow down time and inflict torture attacks on her enemies. And in this game, you can even dress up in 4 Nintendo-themed costumes, such as Princess Peach, Princess Daisy, Link, and Samus. Releases September 30th.
I'm interested in this. I've always liked Platinum games. Like,
Have you played any of them?
I haven't played any of the Bayonettas, but I loved Astral Chain. And I love Nier Automata.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure I would like this one too.
Nice. The next one is Dodanpachi Resurrection. It's $40, limited run games exclusive, only on Switch. 6 years after the battle in Lunopolis was over, the moon-based Donpachi headquarters sensed a turbulence in space-time. As a result of their investigation, it was found that it was due to a large amount of material transfer to the past. In this game, you can also get a mini arcade bundle for $75. The pre-orders for this one will end October 2nd. The last two here.
Whew.
I know. We have Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Fuck yes.
It's $35, limited run games exclusive, only on Switch. In this standalone sequel to the award-winning RPG Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the Sith Lords have hunted the Jedi to the edge of extinction or on the verge of crushing the Old Republic. There's also additional versions of this game, collector's editions that come at a premium. Due to time constraints, I didn't include them here, but you can look them up if you're interested. Pre-orders end October 2nd.
I'm so excited for this. Like, I know how iconic the first game is, but I fucking loved the second game. I had it on Xbox.
You think you're going to get this one?
I'm going to try. As I said off the air, I can't spend that much money right now, but it's so tempting.
Yeah. The last one is Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap. It's $35. It's on PS5, and there are other versions on PC. Limited run games exclusive, it looks like. Cursed into a half-human, half-lizard monstrosity by the Mecha Dragon, you are in search for a cure. The only way you can return to human form is to find the Salamander Cross, a magical item with the power to remove curses. Pre-orders end October 2nd.
Nice. Okay, Connor, let's go ahead and get into our game now that that's out of the way. So, as I said earlier, we'll be talking about the first Spyro game. Full disclosure, both of us played the remake. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say who originally developed the game and who created the re-release and kind of just do it in that order. So, originally it was developed by Insomniac Games and released in 1998. The remake though was made by Toys for Bob and released in 2018. You can generally beat this game in 6 hours. It was originally just released for the PlayStation 1, but the remake has it available for the Xbox, PS4, Switch, PC, PS5, Xbox, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I have actually never played the original game. I had a PlayStation, but for one, I was more of a Crash Bandicoot kid, and even then, I only played the second game.
Crash Bandicoot scum.
Shut up. Crash Bandicoot's awesome.
Spyro's better.
Whatever. I'm not getting into this. And it's mostly just because I never had any of the games. I didn't own a lot of games at the time. But the games I did own, I played the shit out of. Like, I had most of the Tony Hawks. I had 1, 2, 3, and 4 for PS1. I had Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, that game. I had Driver, and Rugrats: The Search for Reptar. And those were all the games I had. However, I do remember playing the second game's demo.
Ripto's Rage?
Yes. The second game's demo, which was on a demo disc that you got at Pizza Hut.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I had that one.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there also a Crash game on there?
I can't quite remember. But that's the only exposure to Spyro that I had was that second game's demo. So I'm going into the first game completely blind, and it's to my understanding that the remake is pretty faithful to the originals, aside from like the facelift, you know?
Yes, and I guess to give my little brief history with it, one of the first games I ever got for my PlayStation 1 was Spyro. And I played the hell out of it. I'd go back and just like replay the levels that I liked a lot. And so I have that perspective going into it.
Okay, and so before we get into it, like, how was it playing the first game with the new visuals? Like, was it a nice nostalgic trip for you, or?
I think, so they were very limited with how the game could look back then. So do you remember playing through this one? There's that level where there's the guys who are dressed like British soldiers and they have like
yes,
cannons and shit.
Mm-hmm.
When I played the original one of that, I swear to you, they look like frogs. Like they were little green frog dudes, and they would moon you with their butts, and they would do all that. I remember that level distinctly. When I saw them in this one, I was like Uncanny Valley. Like, I guess I recognize them, but like I pictured them in my head as frogs.
Interesting.
And I think it would be worth like looking at what they used to look like.
Yeah,
because,
we can YouTube it after this and see.
Yeah, because it's a lot different. So, but I did find what was really interesting comparatively is like as I played through it more, I couldn't remember in my head, did I ever beat Spyro? I don't remember, because only thing I can remember in my head were like specific levels.
Right.
And as I got further and further in the game, I was like, yeah, this seems familiar. Yeah, this seems familiar. And by the time I got to like the last few levels, I was like, well, yeah, this all seems pretty familiar. Like, like I didn't like, I wasn't surprised by it, I guess I should say.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I guess I played more of it than I thought I did back then.
Yeah. So, but again, this is my first time playing it completely, and I had a really good time with it. I love how charming and colorful it is. There's lots of personality. It's not hard. Really that hard. The only time I ever really died was in the final hub and chasing the egg thieves.
You should put a caveat on that. It's not hard. It can be if you're collecting all the gems.
Okay, yes. Thank you. Because I didn't 100% all the levels. So
I just don't want people to go in there and be like, "Oh, it's easy." And then like if they try to get all the gems, there's some ones, and we can talk about this here in a little bit, where it is not intuitive how you were supposed to find these gems.
Oh yeah, yes. That's one thing that I didn't have in the notes, which we'll talk about later. This is the level design.
Mm-hmm.
So, for those who are maybe too young to remember Spyro originally, Spyro is a 3D platformer where you play as a purple dragon named Spyro. And when the dragons insult the character, I guess the villain, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
Nasty Gnorc, he gets revenge by encrusting them in gemstones, and it's up to Spyro to free the dragons and defeat Gnorc.
Yes.
Very simple premise. As I said, it's a 3D platformer, and it's as simple as just get from one end to the level to another. So it's that simple, but it has platforming challenges that get places off the beaten path as well.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a bit to understand this, but you get rewarded with extra gems, lives, and dragons that are kind of hidden throughout the level.
Like many games of its time, it's what you would call a collectathon game.
Yes.
You know, like Banjo-Kazooie would be another one I would consider in this,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. So the whole game loop simply is this. You start in a hub world where there are like many open worlds. You can tackle the levels in any orders. The hub generally has 3 levels, a boss level, and like a time trial or a flight challenge level.
Mm-hmm.
And in these hub worlds, just like the levels, there are a certain amount of dragons encrusted in gemstones, eggs to collect, gems to gather, and you need to collect these. You need to collect a certain amount in order to move on to the next world.
Mm-hmm.
And to get an idea of what you need to collect, you would go to a balloonist, and he'd be like, "Hey, Spyro, you need to free 50 dragons," and just shit like that.
Yeah, and if you hit the, at least on PlayStation, if you hit the touchpad, you click it in, it'll tell you how many out of how many you have for each level of the gems or the dragons,
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
It was minus for the Switch.
Oh, you're playing on Switch?
Yeah, I was playing on the Switch.
Okay, well, they have a different perspective than I was on PS4.
Nice, which we'll talk about the technical differences as well. So each hub world also has a unique aesthetic too, and new challenge. Like, I guess not really new challenges because the game loop is the same,
Mm-hmm.
but like new enemies, to kind of keep things fresh. So like you have the Artisans, which is Spyro's home. You have the Peacekeepers, as we stated earlier. That's the desert with like the Napoleon and British Empire era looking enemies. You know.
Mm-hmm.
They'll light cannons and try to shoot you. If you flame the commanders, they'll salute you and then tip over,
Mm-hmm.
and just shit like that. Then you have the Magic Crafters, which are wizards and other magic users that create environmental obstacles. Then you have the Beast Makers, which is electricity and creatures,
Mm-hmm.
and the Dream Weavers, which is almost similar to Magic Crafters in a way. There's still magic in it, but the hook to this is that enemies can change sizes, and you
Mhm.
need to wait until they're a certain size before you can properly defeat them.
Or hijack the cannon.
Or hijack the cannon, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then the last one is Nasty Gnorc himself, along with a couple levels as well. Let's talk about the gems, Connor. The gems are like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the iconic collectible for Spyro.
Yeah, so dragons historically have been notorious like hoarders of treasure.
Yeah.
And so you're supposed to go to each level and collect back the treasure that the Nasty Gnorc has spread throughout the kingdom.
Mm-hmm. And these can either just be laid out in the world, or they can be in chests. And there are different chests. So you have your wood chests that can be destroyed either by charging them or by flames. You have your glass ones that can only be charged at. You have your metal ones that you either need to be super charged or to be destroyed by another mean. You have locked chests that can only be unlocked by finding a key, and these top style chests, which you need to keep flaming for it to spin, and the top lifts off.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have these kind of wooden gems where you need to hit it. The gem will float in the air. You need to gather it in order to open up the chest.
Yeah, and I will say, so I thought that to get to the final boss, you needed to get 100% on each level. So I collected every single gem on every level.
Interesting.
So I have a 100% completion for the most part. I will say the caveat to that here in a minute. But I will say this game is not colorblind friendly.
Oh, I never thought about that.
So for someone who, like me, is red-green colorblind, the two most common gems are the red and the green. And there were many times where I'd get to the end of the level and I was missing one or two green or red ones. And I'm like, they're in the grass. I have no idea where they are. And so I would have to just pace around the map over and over and over again until I found them. And I genuinely think, like, I get that these are iconic gems, but it's also, this game came out in 2018. Accessibility settings were a thing by then.
Yes.
Put something in there to make it easier for people who have, color blindness to find some of these gems. Because I spent, on some levels that I would think only take maybe 10 minutes to complete or whatever, I was probably spending 20 to 30 on it. Like, I barely finished this game for this week.
Jeez. So yeah, and those colors for gems, like, they have different values as well. So, like, you got your red, which is worth 1, green is worth 2, blue is worth 5, yellow is worth 10, and the rarest one, magenta, is worth 25.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're so satisfying to gather too. I love it. Like, I don't know how they made you think like a dragon, saying, I want to gather these gems. They're so satisfying to collect.
I loved collectathon games, man. They collectathon platformers basically defined, like, the PS1 to PS2 era, N64 to GameCube era. Mm-hmm. There were so many, you know.
Mm-hmm. So Spyro himself, let's talk about him. He has a range of abilities. We've kind of touched based on them a little bit. His charge, which he basically lowers his head and he charges into enemies with his horns. He can also destroy chests with it and everything. And this is actually really difficult to control.
Yes.
Especially when you're chasing after the egg thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very difficult.
Yeah, your turn radius is very wide on that.
And then, of course, you have your flames. Which has a longer range than you would think.
Yeah. And we didn't mention it prior when we were talking about the enemies, but all enemies are a one-hit kill.
Yes. And
some of them require either a charge or a flame to kill, depending on the enemy type.
Yes. And then you can glide for short distances. This is where a lot of the platforming comes from, and a lot of the platforming puzzles come from, is if you see something, you almost need to get to a higher position in order to make it, and even then it's questionable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you have two rare abilities. You have your supercharge, which is signified in the level with some arrows. You need to go the direction of the arrows in order for you to do it. And the super rare one, which I think is only in one level.
Two, I
two?
think.
Okay. Is the super flame.
Yep. Which
you get a kiss on the nose with a fairy, and then for like 15 seconds you get a super powerful flame. How Spyro's health works is still unique, and it's I hate using this word, but it's iconic.
Yeah. Well, Sparks is an iconic side character.
He is, yeah. So you have a little dragonfly buddy named Sparks, and he basically signifies your health. When he's a gold color, he's at full health. Blue, I believe he's at moderate. and green he's at low. I might have those backwards, but I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right, but for me, it's hard to tell the gold and green apart.
And if there's no sparks, you're a one-hit kill, basically.
Also, you didn't really mention this, but I think it's worth noting, when you have sparks in any of those three forms, as you approach gems, he'll reach out and grab them, so you don't have to grab them. If you lose him, you have to stand on the gems themselves to pick them up.
Yeah, it's something I noticed, and it's a very small detail that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
So, and how you would refill your health, basically, is by killing passive animals, like sheep, frogs, and a butterfly will pop out, and then sparks will chase it around you and then eat it.
Mm-hmm.
So, which makes sense because dragonflies are predators.
Yes.
This game, oh man, aside from the fun I had, I did have a couple issues with it. It had a pretty slow load time on Switch. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't like Little Nightmares bad, but it was enough to notice it.
There was a bit of a load time issue on... I was playing... It's a PS4 game on the PS5, and I noticed a few times where the load time seemed slightly longer than maybe they should be, which kind of threw me off.
Mm-hmm. And I had a few frame rate drops too, mostly like right when the beginning or the level would load, but after a couple of seconds it would go back to normal. But I'm not sure if that's just a Switch thing or not.
No, I had some frame rate drops too when there was a lot of enemies on screen at once. So I think it might just be an overall issue.
Mm-hmm. But overall, like, I really, really enjoyed this game. I almost want to go play the second game just because I have memories of playing it on the demo. I just want to be able to experience that game fully. Just like I want to go back and play Crash Bandicoot 2.
Yeah.
So, overall, Connor, what would you give this game? And like, it can either be the classic one or the remake. So,
well, I kind of, as I was playing this game, I had two separate mindsets on it. So I think as a remaster of Spyro the Dragon, as it was, I think it's phenomenal. The character designs were super interesting. All the dragons had a different design to them, all the ones that you save. The art style was gorgeous, and I think they did a really good job of capturing that game and bringing it to this, this current era. So if I had to give it, any rating, I'd probably have to give it like an 8.5. That said, you are going to, if you review it as a game on its own without its history in mind, I would have to give it a much lower score because as time goes on, our expectations for games are a little bit higher. And so you start realizing some of the not so great qualities to the game.
mm-hmm.
So there's not a lot of growth to your character throughout the game. You don't unlock any new abilities along the way. You don't feel any more powerful by the end of the game, other than, just getting better at the game itself. And I kind of think with the boss characters, they weren't particularly complex fights.
They are almost a joke.
They were very easy. Even Nasty Gnorc was pretty easy to beat.
The hardest part about Nasty Gnorc was just the platforming.
Yeah.
I also didn't like if you died, you had to start all the way over.
Yup.
That was fucking annoying.
For Nasty Gnorc's level, yeah. Additionally, I think that some of the platforming was a little too, requiring in preciseness, I should say. So, like, I would jump, and if I was just the slightest hair off, I would fall down to my death. And I'm like, come on, give a little leeway to it.
It's really funny because I'll admit, even though I want to go back and play it again, I played the remake of Crash Bandicoot 2, which I think Toys for Bob made as well.
Yeah.
I think it's something to do with the difference in polygons when it comes to it, because when we're playing these games on the PS1, like I played Crash Bandicoot 2, there wasn't as much detail in the levels as there are today. And so I think when it came to remaking these levels, because there's more polygons, I don't think the hit detection or whatever they use to say, yeah, you successfully crossed this jump, I think it's a lot more precise. I don't think they adjusted or accommodated to that as well as they should.
Yeah. I think the hitboxes were a little too big on some things.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
actually, I think they're too small.
Well, here's the thing. I would fly towards a ledge, and I would hit an invisible force and bounce off,
Okay.
you know? So the hitbox was too far out from the actual 3D object.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then the final, like, real critique I would have, you know, that didn't age well is there are about 2 puzzles in the game, one of which was on the treetop level, and one of them I think was in the Dreamweavers area. I can't remember which stage, where you pretty much, I don't know how you would solve for it without having to look up a walkthrough, because if you want to get all the gems and the levels, there's a few like secret spots you have to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were, you know, run up this ramp and down this other ramp and onto this other ramp and then jump in the air and then glide around this blind corner and then fall into a cave. That, I swear to you, I walked the map 3 or 4 times trying to find. You could not see this spot you were supposed to get to. It was a blind jump and guess. And that's not good game design. You shouldn't put just like let's say I made a game and then I'm like, well, you know, if you happened to fall off this ledge in just the right spot, there's a cave down there, but you can't see it anywhere on the map. You just got to get lucky. Like, that's not great game design. And there were 2 spots where they did that, and I was like, come on, like that's not a way to handle this.
No. If you're gonna do shit like that, don't put required items in that. Just make it like a fun Easter egg.
Yeah. If I had to rate the game based on modern criteria, I could only maybe give it like a 7.
Okay.
So if you're reviewing it as a remaster, an 8.5 on its own, probably a 7.
Cool.
What about you?
Probably about an 8 for me personally, because
Okay.
despite all the issues, I enjoyed it.
If you want to learn to hate it, go back and collect all the gems.
I'd rather not. So, and so that's basically just Spyro. I had a great time with it. Connor and I are in talks to kind of just like trying to improve this show as it is, but mostly by getting a new host. We're
getting rid of Kale.
Yeah, my gerbil brain is just not up to standards to this podcast. So, unfortunately, this is going to be my last podcast.
We're replacing him with a cat.
Yes. No, that's not it. Like I'm not going anywhere. But we are looking into the possibility of extending our 10-hour maximum criteria. Connor and I kind of came to a realization that there are a lot of good games that we want to play, but unfortunately we can't really talk about it except in the pleasantries in the beginning, because they are above the 10-hour criteria. And so Connor and I will probably be experimenting for a while to see kind of where the sweet spot is, but we're generally probably going to aim for maybe to cap it at 18 hours, where we believe that you can probably complete an 18-hour game in a week. But we'll see. But that's kind of what we're talking about right now. It's to see kind of how things play out.
Yeah.
However, the next episode will be the start of the spooky season.
Oh, yeah.
So Connor and I have plans to review horror games all through the month of October. So, and I'm really excited to see what we'll be playing, because Connor and I, we haven't really picked out what the game is yet. So just like this week, next week is going to be a surprise.
Indeed, indeed.
So, well, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, go ahead and subscribe to us. Or if you don't like the show, tell your friends. Maybe they'll like it. We also have some merch, which will be linked in the description. We have t-shirts and hoodies and everything, and all of it's fairly priced.
Yes.
The only thing that's more expensive that actually surprised me were the tie-dyed hoodies, but that's just because that they're hand dipped. The colors are, so yours might be different than mine, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Adds a little bit of uniqueness to it. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys next time.
Goodbye.